today marks day 2 of the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa's National Bargaining Conference, all unfolding in Sandton. This is where unions will be debating the demands that will be submitted in the sector where it will be negotiated. These demands could range from wage increases, improved working conditions and job security. Watching that story is SABC News reporter Nosipho Radebe, who joins us now live from Sandton. And yesterday, Nosipho, we heard the Transport Minister, Barbara Creecy, really speaking about these public-private partnerships to improve things like rail and hopefully have a cascading effect like securing people's jobs.
Yeah. Certainly, Ayanda, good morning to you and of course to the viewers at home. We did hear from the Transport Minister yesterday, Barbara Creecy, clarifying that those public-private partnerships, those were needed by government to sort of turn around the situation that we know at Transnet. Logistics is a problem, rail and port, those outlined by the Minister yesterday. We also heard from DTIC Minister Park Staal yesterday. He gave us feedback on the AMSA talks with ArcelorMittal and where they are now. The understanding from the Minister yesterday was that talks were continuing, negotiations were continuing, but no final agreement reached yet. But of course, as you mentioned, this is the NUMSA National Bargaining Conference, day 2 now of that 3-day event taking place. So I'm going to turn now to NUMSA spokesperson Phakamile Majola, just to get an understanding of where we are when it comes to day 2. Phakamile, thank you so much for your time this morning. We heard, of course, from your leadership yesterday the pressures that workers find themselves under, but also we know that businesses are under pressure. Talk to us about how you balance then your talks then with that sort of climate in mind.
Yeah, no, I think we have to accept that there are pressures on all sides. I think as unions, though, we might argue that in the periods when businesses have experienced good times, they may not necessarily have passed those gains on to workers, you know. So workers have been experiencing pressure for an exceedingly long time. And but we can't deny the current economic environment. There's very low growth prospects. And then, of course, you've got the geopolitical pressure, which is really, it is having an impact. So it just means that, you know, when you are going into negotiations, you have to be realistic. You have to understand the environment you're in. And this is why we have a national bargaining conference as NUMSA. It's precisely so that as an organization, we can take that time to objectively look at the environment, analyze the environment. If you look at our program for yesterday and even also for today, we invited analysts, we invited economists. We had Duma Kubule here yesterday. We also had Alex Mashilo here giving great analysis on collective bargaining. But we also had the Minister of Trade and Industry and also of Transport. And we had employer representatives from the tyre sector and also from NAMCA, the auto sector. So the point I'm making is that when we do make our demands are informed by facts. They're informed by us having analyzed the situation, but also analyzed the situation for workers and what they're going through. And we're factoring that in, and that is how we arrive at whatever figure or demand that we make during these talks.
Talk to us about the situation at AMSA. We heard, of course, from the Minister Park Staal yesterday on the situation on AMSA. Give us your reflections.
I think, first of all, it's greatly appreciated that the Minister was here and that he actually gave input. And I think what was really interesting is because these sessions are very interactive, you saw our shop stewards engaging him directly. You had a shop steward, a worker from AMSA, who also happens to be the chairperson of the region, and others, especially those in KZN, raising their hands to say, but we have a problem. We hear you, but we don't hear you. You guys have been engaging in talks. There have been negotiations going on since December, and there's still no outcome. And while you guys are talking, workers are suffering. Decisions are being made, and there's a lot of uncertainty because there's no clear outcome. So we do appreciate that he engaged them, but I think what was really valuable is that he got to hear firsthand how people are affected by this process, and we're hoping that that will perhaps help to speed things along and we can try and get a resolution to this situation.
All right. And very quickly from you, Phakamile, we've got Minister Gwede Mantashe. He's here today. The focus will be on mining. Talk to us about that.
Yes, we've got Minister Gwede Mantashe, Minister of the Department of Minerals and Energy. He will obviously be talking about mining. He will also probably talk about energy, which is something that we care about a lot as a union. We'll probably touch on just transition and what happened in Komati and, coal versus RE and all of the alternatives. So I think it's going to be really interesting. We've also got the former Minister of DTIC here, Alec Owen, and representatives from the steel sector, SABC. So you are going to hear a lot also about the pressures in the steel sector, what the employers are saying, and how, just the overall economic outlook directly from the people who are involved.
All right, thank you, Phakamile. We'll leave it there. That was the NUMSA spokesperson, national spokesperson, Phakamile Majola, outlining the key takeaways from yesterday's talks, what we heard from the Minister, Park Stow, and also what we're going to expect today with Minister of the Department of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe, here today. Mining will be in the focus, and also just clarity on those talks there with AMSA. But just very quickly, Ayanda, we did also hear from the leadership of NUMSA yesterday saying that they reject the VAT hike. That would be more pressure on workers who are already struggling. But as you heard from Phakamile, they'll be striking a balance there when it comes to those talks around what workers want in terms of wages, working conditions going forward.